Hi guys, today we're going to be having a look at the Heusinkveld Sequential shifter and putting it through its paces in Dirt Rally 2. I'll let you know what my thoughts are on the device and start off with unboxing it. So here we go. So we're presented with quite a simple box from Heusinkveld. Once you open it, you've got a little information of what's in the shifter box. So a list of the components that make up the shifter. It's a little damaged, and I think that's just showing you how tightly packed all this stuff is. And yeah, you get a little thank you card, which is always welcome. Inside the box there is also a USB cable, the shifter itself in enough bubble wrap to entertain the kids afterwards, and of course protect the shifter itself. It's a very small unit, as you can probably tell, and that'd be pretty handy as I don't have a huge amount of space in my rig. Little self-contained unit, and then you have the components for the shifter arm and mounting brackets. I'll be using the 80/20 rig mounts. We have the usual Heusinkveld stickers in all of their glorious colours. And here we have the various caps for the shifter. So let's have a look inside the bag with the arms and mounting points, and see if we can attach one of these to it. So use the end with the shorter thread. We have that on there, and then we screw that into the shifter. But actually what I've missed here was the locking nut, so I've put that on afterwards. You can see there's quite a lot of resistance when you're just using it in your hands like this, but when it's on the rig, you don't have any problems shifting at all. It's a nice amount of mechanical resistance. So to mount this using the end plate for mounting this to various rigs, you have to undo two of these bolts from one side of the shifter unit. You have to be a little careful with this because that does hold the assembly together as well, and I did find that out and had to readjust all the components in order to fit it back together. But once you get those off and screwed back on, you're good to go. It's worth noting that they are incredibly tight, so if you can get an Allen key with a little bit more leverage, that's usually quite useful. The ones that were in the bag I found a little short, and I had a little struggle trying to tighten and untighten these. But in the end we got there. Just making sure they're extra tight. And let's get the arm back on the shifter unit. And tighten up the locking nut. There we go. A little bit of play, but it's generally pretty solid. And this is what it looks like once it is mounted. So you've noticed I've mounted it on the outside of my 80/20, and that is because of the way that the rig is situated. Otherwise I'd be banging my knuckles against the wall continuously. I've never used a sequential shifter before. I've used paddle shifters and I've used the H pattern, but not recently. So this was a bit of a learning curve initially in Dirt Rally for me, and I did have a few attempts at trying to get a lap time in, and initially I was definitely slower than I had been with an automatic. I hadn't been using a manual shifter in Dirt Rally, mostly because of the wheel rotation that's necessary for a rally game, and that the paddle shifters I have are around the wheel, so I was just finding that I had to adjust my hand position continuously in order to be able to reach those shifters. It was just making me very slow. So switching to the sequential shifter made a bit of a difference. Initially it slowed me down, but it meant that when I came into corners that I could use some engine braking and get myself into the right position for a particularly slow corner. So eventually I managed to beat my personal bests around various stages doing time trials. Now, I had been quite poor at rally games when I managed to pick them back up again after, I don't know, a period of about 10 years of not playing a rally game. And I managed to, with this shifter, get somewhere near to respectable times. Still quite a long way off of the fast guys, but into a position where I'm comfortable with where I am and I can start practicing a little more and speeding up. But it felt really positive to change gears, and I have it set up so pulling back goes up a gear and pushing forward goes down, and that setup seems to work pretty well for most racing games. Overall, I'm very happy with how the shifter feels. It feels nice and mechanical. It feels like there's enough resistance for you to not accidentally be shifting up and down gears. It is a little bit of a specialist unit in that there aren't that many games you're going to be wanting to use a sequential shifter for, at least not in my case, but at least now I have that option, and it has made the experience much more immersive in Dirt Rally 2 for me. If you're on the market for a sequential shifter and you're happy with a dedicated unit, then this is a great product, especially given its price point. It has that nice mechanical feel going into the shift, and it has that softening as you hit the end, the stop point. If you are looking for a more generalist unit that also allows you to do H pattern shifting, then you're going to have to look elsewhere, because this unit doesn't do any such thing. But given its dedicated nature, I can't recommend it enough. It adds a new level of immersion for driving situations where you would have a sequential shifter and not a H pattern or paddle shifts, and it just makes it feel like a more authentic experience. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you didn't like this video, then please leave a comment so I know how to improve. Until next time, guys, bye bye.
30, early, 5 right of a crest, cut 6 left, 50, 6 right long, cut 6 left, into 6 right, cut 4 left, into 6 right, cut 6 left, 5 right, into 5 left of a crest.